Bismillah, alhamdulillahi, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I want to give a quick reminder for myself and for you, my brothers and sisters. This is Juzz in the Qur'an that most of us have memorized it. Most of us, kids, have memorized this Juzz. This is Juzz Amma. Juzz Amma is the Juzz that most of us, our short surahs come from this Juzz. The short surahs you and I read day and night. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح is in Juzz Amma. والعصر is in Juzz Amma. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر is in Juzz Amma. قل أعوذ برب الفلق Juzz Amma. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب is in Juzz Amma. All of these short surahs is in Juzz Amma. ألهاكم التكاثر Juzz Amma. القارعة Juzz Amma. والعاديات ضبحا Juzz Amma. والتين والزيتون Juzz Amma. والضحى Juzz Amma. Subhanallah. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر Juzz Amma. Over and over again. والفجر Juzz Amma. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى Juzz Amma. It has all the short surahs we read. قل هو الله أحد Juzz Amma. But Juzz Amma is a Juzz that's filled with reminders that soften our hearts. It is filled with reminders that you read it. قلوب يومئذ واجفة أبصارها خاشعة. Look at these verses. When the hearts will shake on that day and their eyes will be cast down. يقولون إنا لمردودون في الحافرة. They say, shall we be brought back to our former life? Are you saying when we die, أَإِذَا كُنَّا عِظَامًا نَخِرَةً, when we become bones crumbled, you think we'll come back to our life? This is all in Juzz Amma. Subhanallah. Amma yatasa'alun anin naba'il azim. Allah said they are asking about the great news, the day of judgment. It's all in Juzz Amma. Subhanallah. فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ مَرْءٌ مِّنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ. The day when man will run away from his brother, he will run away from his father, from his mother, he will run away from your family members on that day of judgment. All of these reminders is in Juzz Amma. Juzz Amma is filled with verses that attach your heart to Allah Azza wa Jal. It is filled with verses that remind your heart about the day of judgment, that remind you of the reality, death, and the day of judgment. ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقُّ. That's the day of reality, that day of judgment is coming. So Juzz Amma is a Juzz. It starts from Surah An-Naba. An-Naba all the way down to Surah An-Nas. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. So Amma yatasa'alun, that's where it starts. That's the Surah An-Naba, that's the beginning, all the way down to Surah An-Nas. I encourage myself and you to recite this Juzz at least once a week. Once a week, you will see the effect it will have on your heart. Wallahi, these verses, when you sit down and recite them with reflection, with pondering, with the meaning. If you don't speak Arabic, it's okay. Have the translation next to you. So how many times do I have to say this? Have the translation next to you. Read one verse in Arabic, look at the meaning, go through the tafsir, read it, try your best to ponder over it, tadabbur by yourself, and reflect and sit down by yourself. You will see tears coming down from your eyes. Wallahi. You will see your heart shaking. You will start to, because subhanallah, even Aisha, our mother, may Allah be pleased with her, she said, had Allah Azza wa Jal started the prophethood, the message of Islam in the beginning, had Allah started with the laws, regulation, meaning don't do this, don't drink alcohol, don't, do this, do that, don't do that, people would never have done it. People would have said, no, we're not doing it. But Allah started with verses like this, verses in Juzz Amma, verses that talks about Allah, worshiping Allah alone, that talks about death, verses that talk about the day of judgment, verses that talk about paradise, verses that talk about hellfire, verses that talk about what will happen on the day of judgment. These are verses that soften your heart, that shake your heart, that make your heart say, wow, my God. So once your heart is attached to Allah, once your heart is attached to the day of judgment and to paradise, now the rules and regulation, it'll be easy for you and I to follow them. It'll be easy on you and I to implement on them, because our heart is already attached to Allah Azza wa Jal and the day of judgment. So these verses in Juzz Amma, these surahs, they're very important. We should at least strive to read them at least once a week. I'm telling you, how long does it take? 1 hour? The most? Subhanallah. Let's make time for that, inshallah. May Allah Azza wa Jal make that easy for you and I. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.